Let us now work on our challenge solution. So the challenge was inside this project for input field we have used useStateHook. But now what we want, instead of using useState, we should be using useReducer for our input field. So what we will do, we are not going to continue in the same useReducer. Instead, we are going to create separate reducer to handle our input field state. So using this useReducer, we are going to manage the task, and using another useReducer, we are going to handle multiple input fields. But here, as of now, we are only having one input field. But if we are having multiple input fields, for that, we are going to create separate useReducer. So first, let us make some changes in this project. Before that, I will just copy this folder, and inside this, I will be writing solution. Hit enter. Now I will come to app.js. Now in place of this to-do list, I will write to-do list underscore solution. Save it. Again, I will be having the same result. Everything is working fine. I will close all the files. Instead, I am just going to open the file which are present inside task list underscore solution. Now inside this task list, what I will do, I am just going to change my reducer name, because now we are creating multiple reducers. So using this, we are going to manage our task. So I will give reducer name as task reducer. Now I'll copy. Now here I have to paste my reducer. And also I'm just going to change this dispatch name. Here I will write task dispatch. Now I'll copy this. So now here I'm just going to copy this task dispatch. In place of this, I will be pasting. And finally, while passing the prop, inside this, I have to pass my task dispatch. And this prop we have already accepted inside this task.js. Now I will close this. So that's fine. We have only changed our reducer name, and also we have changed our dispatch name. Now I'll come here. Still everything is working fine. Okay, every functionality is working. Now what I am going to do, for this input field, instead of using this use state, I will be creating another reducer. Now I will just remove this entire thing, and also from this value I will remove this entire thing, and also I'm just going to remove this on change event handler. Save it, and from here I will also remove this use state. Now I will be having lot of errors. Task name is not defined, set task name is not defined. Why? Because inside this function we are using all these names. So for that we are going to use another reducer. I will write here const, and inside this I will give the state name as input state. Then for dispatch I will give input dispatch. Finally I will be using useReducer. Inside this, I have to pass reducer function. I will write input reducer. And then finally, I have to pass initial state. Here I will write initial type. For better understanding, let me write here initial input. Now here, I am just going to create this initial state. I will copy. So this is our entire functionality related to task. Now below this, I will be adding one comment, and here I will write related to input field. Below this, I will be creating this variable, and inside this object, I'm just going to pass my task name. Initially, I do not want anything, so I'm just going to give empty string. Now what I have to do? I have to create my reducer function. Below this, I will write function reducer. Inside this, we have to pass current state and action arguments. Then what this reducer will be returning? It is going to return next updated state. So how we will check? Using this switch. Inside this, I will be passing action.type. Now here, inside this input field, what operations we are doing? First, we are going to set the name and then we are going to clear the name. So here I will write the case. Inside this, I will write set hyphen task hyphen name. Then what I will do? Simply, I'm just going to return the next updated state. That is nothing but object because our initial state is nothing but object. And inside this, whatever previous data I'm having, I'm just going to copy that and I will write here task name. And inside this, I will be writing action.payload. Now we are going to create our action. Let me just come down. So this is my input field. I will be writing value. Now here inside this, I will be passing my input state dot task name. So initially my state is empty. So you can see initially my state is empty. So empty value will be displayed. But now what I want, using onChange event handler, whenever I start typing, I just want to access the value and I just want to update my state. So what we will do, here inside this, we are going to pass onChange event handler and inside this, we are going to pass our event object. Previously, what we did, using setter function, we have accessed e.target.value. Now here, what we have to do, using dispatch, we have to trigger our action. So let me just write here dispatch. Instead of dispatch, we have given input dispatch, paste. Inside this, we have to pass action. And inside this action, our type is nothing but set task name. Copy. And here I will be pasting. Then we have to pass payload. Now what will be the payload? That is nothing but e.target.value. So here I will be writing payload. Inside this I will be writing e.target.value. I hope you understood till here. For this input field, we have created another reducer and we have given reducer function and initial state. And initially we are assigning this task name as empty string. And when we are setting, we are returning entire state and inside this task name, we are just setting our action.payload. And our payload is nothing but e.target.value. So whenever I type something, onChange event handler will be called and accordingly value will be set. Now inside this task dispatch, here we have added add task. But inside this payload, for this name property, now directly we cannot access task name because earlier this was a state. Now this task name is present inside this initial input. So I have to copy. From this object, I have to access my task name. Now I'll save it. As of now, let me just comment this line. If I start typing, successfully I am able to type and each and every time when I am typing, onChange event handler will be called and using this dispatch, we are just triggering this action. And inside this action, we are returning all the state and we are setting this task name to action.payload, which is nothing but e.target.value. So our first step is done. Now next, what I have to do, once our form is submitted, I just want to clear my input field. So below this, I will be writing case and for this, I will give clear hyphen task hyphen name. Inside this, what I will do, I will return entire state. Then I will just give this task name to empty string. That's it. You don't have to do. Now when this action will be triggered, whenever I submit the form, this action has to be triggered. I will remove this entire thing. Instead, I will be writing input dispatch and inside this I will be passing type and type is nothing but clear task name. Save it. Come here, refresh this. Now I will be typing something. As soon as I click on add, you can see my input field is cleared. But here if you see, we are not having the data. If I click on delete, we are able to delete. But if we add something, our data is not displayed here. Before fixing that, inside the switch statement, we have to return this default. And here I will be writing return state. Save it. Still, if I type something, this is not visible, but successfully we have added our default case. But now the problem is, without entering anything inside this input field, when I click on add, again this list item is added. But I want to prevent this. So what we will do, inside this handle submit function, we are going to check for the condition. So here I will write if my input state dot task name, if this is equal to empty, then simply I just want to return from function. I do not want to perform any operation. Instead, I just want to return from function. Now, without adding anything, if I click on add, you can see nothing happens. But now let us see, whenever we are adding list item, why we are not getting this task name. So here the problem should be inside this dispatch, and here while passing the payload directly, we are passing this initial input. Instead of passing this initial input, we have to pass this input state for which our initial input will be assigned. Now I'm just going to pass input state. Come here. Now I will be adding. Click on add. Now you can see successfully I am able to get this name. Refresh once. Cut apples. I am having pack bags. Click on add. Click on complete. Click on delete. Entire thing is working. But here you might be thinking this is lot of work, because while using use state we do not have to perform so much of logic. Yes, you are right. If you're having one or two input field, then definitely you can proceed with use state. But if you're having multiple input field, then you have to create useReducer, and accordingly you have to update the state. Successfully, if you have completed the challenge, then well and good. But if you got stuck and if you were not able to perform this challenge, then also no problem, because this challenge was tricky and also little bit complicated to understand this entire logic.